straight away, as soon as he said it, I was like, oh no, is there an issue under the floor? It's always nice to come back to a bathroom that you've fitted. So there's nothing dead obvious on there. There's a little bit of a mark on that bit, maybe a tiny little bit of thread coming off there. It's a local guy to me. He got in contact with me to start with through the YouTube channel. Drop me a message, drop me a comment. As you can probably see around the side of the bath here, you can see where the bath's been leaking here. They are just so good at just getting right in and scraping out all the old silicone. Put bead of silicone around there, as I've said, on the washer, and then feed it in from above. We are back at the house with the holes in the ceiling and the really strange leak that's been going on. Right, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody is doing well. I want to start this video by saying a massive thank you to all the new subscribers that we've got to the channel. I said last week and a couple of videos before, I haven't really asked or pushed the whole subscriber thing for a while, but we are very nearly getting to 20,000 subscribers, which I'd really very much like for the end of the year. It will be the second year that the channel's been going, and to hit 20,000 at that point would be amazing. So I appreciate everyone who has subscribed, everyone who's been here from day one, everybody who interacts with the comments. I try to get back to every comment that comes through, apart from the dickhead comments. We haven't had any of them for a while, which is quite good. We have the odd strange one, but that's not a problem at all. Yeah, so if you're new to the channel, I'm Mark. It's MJTIFF Plumbing and Heating, Real World Plumbing. I just want to show you my days as a jobbing around plumber, doing bits and bobs. I'll show it when it goes right, show it when it goes wrong, all that sort of stuff, going into merchants and just everything really, and sometimes how hectic the days can be. The channel is sponsored by Unilite, as you'll know. If you buy anything from Unilite, use the code MJTIFF and you'll get money off, 25% off at least, freebies, all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to plug that too much, but everything is in the description below. Right, today's video is a video that I went to a customer's house local to me that I actually got through YouTube. He contacted me through the comments on YouTube, then dropped me an email or a message, I can't remember what it was, and he lives 5 minutes from my house. So I went to Matt's house. Shout out to Matt, I know you'll be watching. It was just nice really to go to someone's house that has watched me. And it was funny because he was telling me about the jobs that I've done. Oh, watch this one, watch that one. And yeah, it was really good actually. So we do a little bit around his house, sort of preventative sort of maintenance at his house, which is quite interesting. And we also go back, hang on to the end of the video, because we go back to the job, I think was last video. It's all about videos. The last video with the phantom leak, the one we couldn't work out where it's coming from. There's progress on that. And we may, touch wood, have fixed it. So hang on to the end of the video for that and tell me what you think, whether you think what we've done will fix it. Also, before I go, probably going out the same time as this Sunday night, Trade Legends podcast. I recorded the Trade Legends podcast last week with Al, Craig Mitchell and Pointy Plumber. Now it is the Halloween special. We're all dressed up, as you'll have seen. It's a brilliant podcast. Pointy, one of the plumbing guests on there, really opens up. It's quite heartwarming really, to the depths that he opened up. And afterwards he was speaking to me and went, I don't think I've ever opened up that much to anyone really for years and years and years. So I'll put all the link below. Trade Legends podcast. Watch it after you've watched this. Right, let's get on with the video. I hope everyone's well. Blah, 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 all that jazz. Let's get on with it because I'm waffling now and you're sick of hearing my voice. As some of you might recognise this house, we did 2 bathrooms on this job about probably 4 or 5 months ago now, and I've been back and done a few other little bits, but Stu, the owner, rang me a couple of days ago and said he had water coming through the ceiling but outside the house. So to put it into perspective, one of the bathrooms is here. Now the toilet sits just about here. Stu's come out one morning and seen a massive puddle of water here with water dripping down here. So he's rung me, obviously we've got a water leak, so I've come out and had a look, and it turns out he's turned the water off and the water had stopped dripping through the ceiling. So my initial thought was, is it coming from the toilet above? So I would take you up and you will obviously instantly recognise the bathroom from when we done it. So this bathroom. Now This toilet sits directly above the roof of that porch. Now, straight away, as soon as he said it, I was like, oh no, is there an issue under the floor? In the back of my mind, I thought it's going to be something related to the toilet. And sure enough, it was leaking from the bottom of this swivel onto this plastic thread for the ball valve. Now, I'm never keen on plastic threaded ball valves. It come with this toilet, so we fitted it. But what I've done, so we came out, tightened it up, hopefully that was it. And I said to Stu, if it does it again, I would just completely replace it with a Dudley HydroFlow, because they've got the brass. Let me show you. They've got the brass fittings coming out the bottom. And I just prefer fitting these if I can anyway. So maybe in hindsight we should have fitted them to it, but it's by the by now. So we basically come out to just switch that out inside there. So we've got the Aquavac. As always, we'll just take the top off, turn the water off, take the lid off, flush it, suck the rest of the water out, and then we can change that valve fairly straightforward, and make sure it's not leaking with the brass body on it. And to be fair, it's always nice to come back to a bathroom that you've fitted. Let me just step back and show you. We've got the freestanding bath there, the basin. We had a nightmare with this basin. Every time it kept getting delivered, it kept getting broken. But yeah, it was, we did this one and then the other one down the end of the hallway. But I'll bang a link in the corner to the whole, I think I did a whole playlist of these two bathrooms being done, complete strip out and refit of both of them. So they're an interesting watch. Right, let's get this valve changed. So, water's off. So, isolated it there, water's off. Get as much as we can out by flushing it, and then we'll get the Aquavac on. These is where they come in handy, so it's just a case of sucking out the final little bit of water in there, and then you can undo the ball valve off the bottom and get it whipped out. So you got the majority of the water out there. There's a tiny little bit in this corner. I can't quite get the Aquavac down there. I've lost the little nozzle. It comes with a long nozzle. I think I've lost it on a job somewhere. I'll have to order another one. But yeah, always pop a towel around the bottom. So we'll do that, and then we'll whip out this ball valve. Nothing dead obvious on there. There's a little bit of a mark on that bit, and maybe a tiny little bit of thread coming off there, but with the Dudley one, it's completely brass, so you know you're going to be okay. So always match up the height of that one to the height of that one, and you just pop these little prongs out. To be fair, I've just noticed that is a Thomas Dudley one, just with the plastic body, just with the plastic thread on the bottom. Yeah, so even the HydroFlow one. Yeah, they must do. I didn't even realise they did a plastic one and a brass one, because I always just fit the brass one. So yeah, pop it in. There we go, quick little fix, new valve in, brass bottom on it, all tightened, and no more issues. Yeah, before it was just running down here, through there, and showing itself through the roof of the porch. So we're all good. So a little tip, always fit brass bottom ball valves. Just saves a lot of hassle really. So we're at a customer's house today. It's a local guy to me, and funny enough, he got in contact with me to start with through the YouTube channel, dropped me a message, dropped me a comment, and he then texted me and I got arranged to come round to sort some bits out for him. So I've got here this morning, it's just a load of little bits, but important bits that need to be sorted on this job, on this house. So he lives in a house that's probably 25 years old. I'll go through what we've got. First thing, top of the taps, he's got the old hose and shower head. Now, we want that replacing, and there was a split in the back of the hose. So we're going to replace that, that's not a problem. But what he was saying was, sometimes when he turned the taps on, they would pull water here. Now he thought it may have been coming from the taps here. Now I dare to say it's going to be from the split in the back of the hose. So whenever he was using the shower bit, it was leaking out the back and running here, because we've run the bath a few times now, and obviously you pull that up to switch between the two. We've run the bath a few times and there's nothing coming out of here. So process of elimination, I would say it was, apparently said there was a little tiny split on the end of that hose. So we'll put the new hose on, check that's fine. Then also we've got to replace the pop-up waste. It wasn't working, and it turns out there was a little lug on the side of here that was catching. So in theory that one's now working. However, he has bought another pop-up waste. So he said, you know, while you're here, if you change that, it's we know it's a new one, and we know there's going to be no further issues with it, which is fine. Now the main sort of reason is, as you can probably see around the side of the bath here, you can see where the bath's been leaking here, or not the bath, we'll get to it in a minute, and down the back there, and also, you see there. Now that all coincides with the gaps in the silicone. I don't know if you can pick that up. Gaps in the silicone around there. This edge, you'll be able to see this. It's just these plastic baths are quite sprung loaded. So if I push down on there, you can see the whole trim along there is moving. And the same this side. If you push that corner, you can see that open up. Now that isn't due to the weight in the bath really, because this area here takes the volume of the bath. What it's going to be is just movement in that, but he's having a carpenter come out once I'm done to build a complete frame on the front. I put a proper fixed bath panel in, so that will keep that wedged up into position when we've done it. But what I'm going to do is re-silicone all around here, scrape this old silicone out, re-silicone round, and we'll just put a little, I haven't got any grout, so we'll just put a little bead of silicone in this grout here, just to stop any issues there. But what Matt has said, in the future he's going to take this bathroom out anyway and put a new bathroom in. And then also downstairs on his kitchen tap, there's I think the washers are on it, the ceramic washers, so we'll change those as well. But we need to get on with this, so we'll put the hose on first, check that's all right, and then start doing the waste. So I've switched that new hose on, and we're just testing it in the bath now, and as you can see there's nothing coming out there, so I'm near enough, so I'm 100% confident that the issue with a little split in the existing hose, turn that off so you can hear me. I'm confident the issue was a split in the old hose off there, so with the new one on, that's completely bone dry. And what would have happened then as well is, if that was leaking, it would have caused the majority of this here on that plasterboard. So yeah, we can scrape that out and get that resealed anyway. Now I've got a bit of a predicament when it comes to changing this and resealing around the bath. Now bear with me for this one, because I've got to fit a new pop-up waste. As you'll probably know, I don't trust just one washer on the bottom of that waste. So that's how it would sit on the bottom of the bath, just that one washer. There's no washer to go on the bottom of there, so I always silicone that, which then sits into the bath. I would also put a little bead of silicone around the washer and a little bead of silicone around there for that to sit onto, just because I've had it before where you don't silicone waste up and they leak. That's my personal preference. Some people do it differently, but for me, that's how I've always done it. Now, if we take this waste out and silicone this waste up, then we re-silicone around the bath, we can't fill the bath up till the silicone in the waste has gone off. So it's one or the other, I think. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to put the waste in. Do I risk putting it in with just the washer on it and no silicone on the top, so then I can fit that, check that's alright, and then pull the silicone out the bath and redo that? Or do I silicone it up as I always do, a proven formula, but then I'm going to have to wait till probably tomorrow morning to come and silicone back around the bath, because then the waste would have gone off. So I'm not sure what to do. But either or, we've got to change this waste out, unless Matt is happy with leaving that one in, and then I can do all of that and then change that at a later date. See what I mean? I don't know which way to go with it. Let me have a chat with Matt and see what he thinks. So, site meeting over. Just spoke to Matt, the customer, and what we're going to do is I'm going to change this waste now, put the new one in, silicone it up, take out all this old silicone so that then overnight this can go off, and then I'm going to swing in the morning with this all prepped, re-silicone around the bath, fill the bath up, and we can leave it for the day. This job is literally 5 minutes from my house, so it's not an issue swinging back in just to silicone around the bath. I don't see a problem at all. It keeps the customer happy. I know the job's been done properly. It's just one of them things. It's not a problem. Swinging back to get it sorted. So let's get this out. I might, to be fair, I'll probably scrape all this out first before we carry on. Scrape that out, then get the waste out and get the new one siliconed in. So on my way over here this morning, I've got a few of these silicone removing tools, but I picked a new one up from Screwfix. They're like a tenner, I think. You get that and some other little fittings in it, but they are just so good at just getting right in and scraping out all the old silicone. It saves on the fingers and everything. So we'll get that done. I've also picked up, I've never used this before, I've also picked up this from Screwfix as well, sealant removal. So once we've scraped most of it out, we'll pop a bit of this on. I'll have a bit of read of the instructions first, but I'll pop a bit of that on and see what it's like. But yeah, we can get the majority of it out now with this tool. They're pretty handy little tools actually, for the sake of it. See, it's coming out a treat, this is. Because you've got the sharp bits on all the sides of this tool, it's just really handy for getting right in. So with this sealant removal solution, it's just a case of running it along where the silicone, where the bits are left. I've tested it on that little bit there before anyone says anything, and it's fine. So we just put it along there, and from what I can gather, it's just going to get rid of all them little, you know, little stray bits that you struggle to get off and you end up getting a Stanley knife on back in the day. Whereas this will just lift, from what I can gather, will lift the silicone off and just leave a much better finish. So we'll do that all the way around, leave it for 5 minutes, scrape the rest of it out, and then that is ready to be resealed up tomorrow. Then we can get on with removing the waste. So we'll take the waste out now. The overflow on these is pretty straightforward. The front just pulls clean off, and then you just unscrew the sort of nut that holds the pop-up bit in place. So that just comes off like so. Pretty straightforward. And then now we've got to get under the bath, which for me, being a bigger guy, can be a bit of a pain, but luckily this one's not too bad. Being lit up by our friend, the SLR 1750. If you haven't heard, hit the link below and you'll get them for 50 quid, usually 100 quid. Let's undo the waste. Let me just move this camera down. Right, let's undo the waste. Oh, is that a bit of silicone on the waste? Oh no, it's a bit of PTFE on the actual waste itself. Right, that's the old waste out, and I've cleaned up the bath where we're going to put the new one in, and cleaned up underneath, pulled a load of silicone off the bottom. So what we'll do is, with the new one, what I would like to do, as you'll know, is put a little tiny bit of silicone around there, and we'll fit the washer on. Another little bit of silicone around there, some silicone on the bottom of that, and then we can push it into position. And what I'll do first of all is get the actual top overflow bit into place. Now it's just a case of slipping behind it, putting it through, and then with this one, this plate just pushes on the front like so, and you've got like a nut that will just spin and hold it in position on the top of the bath. And then the actual plunger bit, and then the bit that you actually turn comes with a little screw at the bottom. So you just put that screw pointing towards the bottom of the bath so you don't see the hole in it. And just tighten it up. So, I'm not sure how much of this you're going to see, but I'll put the GoPro underneath the bath there. I might try and put it on that way actually. Can you see it there? Yeah, see if I can put it there and do it. So what we're going to do is put a bead of silicone around there, as I've said, on the washer, and then feed it in from above. So we've got the waste there, siliconed up. Put a little bead around here, because you can always wipe off the excess anyway. Then we'll just put a little layer on there, just because we can wipe off any excess. I'd rather put too much on, not enough. So that's the waste all tightened up. We'll just remove the rest of this silicone around here, give it a wipe down, and then that is just about done. All we've got to do is reconnect the trap onto the bottom of it, and we'll leave that to go off till tomorrow when we come and do the rest of the silicone around the bath with the bath filled up with water. So then once that's all in, just adjust the plug. Always put it on the longest setting first, because if you put it in there and it drops right down and you can't get it back out, you're in the mire. So just alter that, just so that the plug sits nice and flush. That's it, perfect. So what we'll do, we'll leave that to go off. Oh yeah, hang on. Right, I've got to reconnect the waste. That's the waste trap reconnected back on the bottom. That's that sorted. Let's have a tidy up and then go down and see if we can switch the cartridges out on Matt's kitchen tap. Right, so we've done the bath upstairs, we've popped that down now. As I said at the start, we've got a couple of little washers to sort out on here. So, turn the water off, open the taps up. Now, I haven't used this for a good while. It was in some videos a few months back. I always keep this on the van from Plum Base. It's just a complete tap washer, ceramic cartridge kit. So handy. If you come out to a job, especially with these quarter turn taps, we can just whip the heads off, like so. And I've just got to get the Allen key in there, get these off, and then we'll be able to whip the cartridges out that are in here, and then we can match them up identically to what is in this kit. So bear with me, I'll get them out and we'll get them matched up and switched over. So we've matched up the ceramic cartridges. These are the old ones that have come out, and the good thing, as I said, with this drawer that I've got full of cartridges, you can go through them and match up exactly what we've got. So these are the replacement ones. We've got cold, we've got hot. We'll get them in now, get the water back on, and see if it stops this tap from dripping. So we thought we'd found the right cartridge for this, but we've had to switch them around a little bit. If you look here, this is the original one. You see that gap there? It's probably like a 4 or 5 mil gap between the actual head and the body of the tap. Whereas this is the newer cartridge, another one I've found, and it just closes up that gap ever so slightly. The problem is sometimes with them, the depth of the actual cartridge is the limiting factor in it. So you've got to try and match up as best as you can. It's not going to be absolutely perfect unless you get the actual taps makes cartridge, if that makes sense. These are like a generic universal bunch of cartridges. So just checked with Matt, the customer, and he's happy with that. So we'll put the same one in that side, get the heads put back on, and get the water back onto it. Right, so that's that tap sorted, water's back on, and hopefully it was just sort of passing a little bit through there. But as I said to Matt, these old cartridges, they do play up after a while, and where we live, the water around here is pretty hard anyway, so it soon batters them. But yeah, as I said, get hold of one of these if you can. Plum-based stock 'em. I did have a code for it. I'll put a link in the corner, I can never remember which side, link in the corner to a video I did with the code for these tap washer kits. So I'll bang that up there. But yeah, get one in the van. So we're back at that job with the bath. It is about 8:15 Friday morning. I've swung back in just to fill this bath up. Now that the waste's gone off, as we said previously, the silicone on the waste's gone off, so we can now fill the bath up, which I have done. And now you will see exactly what happens when the bath is full, the weight inside the bath. You can see the gap within the tile and the silicone, especially around here, look. See how it opens right up when the weight of the water is in the bath, all the way down the side there, obviously here as well. So now that's in there, we can get the silicone all around the side, siliconed in, and as I said before, when the carpenter comes back, he's making a full frame up on the front of here, which is going to support this front edge as well. So let's get some silicone in, and the key with silicone in is get yourself a set of these silicone tools from Screwfix. They're like 6 quid or 8 quid or something like that. Basically 10 mil, 8 mil, squirt it round, wipe it off with that, away you go. Just gives a proper neat finish all the way around the bath. So let's get some silicone in and get this one finished off. I've put a bead of silicone all the way down the bath. Now I'm going to use the 8 mil side of this tool. It is literally as easy as this. Just pop it in and pull it along, and it will gather the silicone out, and it will leave you with a nice neat finish like that. So we'll go all the way around the bath and get that done. There we go, all silicone round now. So what we'll do, we'll leave that in. I've said to Matt, customer, leave the bath in for 8 to 10 hours just while all that silicone goes off. Then you can dump the water out and crack on with that bath. So yeah, a few little jobs here sorted out, niggly little jobs really. People want to get done and they put off, and then all of a sudden you get about 6 or 7 of them. Go and sort them out, and jobs are good. We are back at the house with the holes in the ceiling and the really strange leak that's been going on. So if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link above to the video of exactly what was going on here, but I'll give you a brief outline. There's basically a phantom leak coming through that ceiling. Now, we tried to find it, we couldn't find it, so I ended up leaving Will, whose property it is, with a toilet, and this ball valve was dripping ever so slightly now and again. Now, after loads of investigation, I thought to him, right, leave that drip in and just see if the system fills up and it starts to overflow back into the pan and runs out the sewer pipe. He's done that, and then it was leaking. If you fiddled around with this just ever so slightly, touched it like that, it stopped leaking. So when he done that and the ball valve wasn't leaking, there was no leak. He left it on for a day or so, not a single leak. So before we start ripping all this off, trying to find issues, we're going to do the most simple thing and just swap the ball valve. Because if we put a new ball valve in there that doesn't drip and everything's fine, then as far as I can tell, we'll have fixed the issue to a degree. If it then becomes an issue afterwards, we're going to have the boxing off and investigate more. But Will's happy for us to just change that ball valve, and go from there. So we've got the water off. We'll get rid of the water out of the system. It's just a basic ball valve change, to be completely honest. Get as much out as we can. Get the aquavac on, suck the bottom of the cistern out. Get underneath there, which is a little bit tight. That's what we did for access. Get under there, switch that out, and pop a Thomas Dudley Hydroflow with a brass bottom in. There we go, switch that out. I didn't show you because I've shown you in previous videos how to change a ball valve. Water off, disconnect the bottom, drain it out, and swap it over. So that's in position now. We'll go now, turn the water back on, and just make sure that that ball valve shuts off, and then we can again assess what is going on from that point. So that's in, on, working, lid back on. I just want to give a little shout out as well to a lot of people that in the previous video about this dropped a comment saying various things to check, and saying put some dye, some food colouring into the cistern, and if it's trickling out that way, you'll see it running out. It's a good little tip that is, if ever you get an issue with it, which I may even do if it carries on. I've put some food colouring in there, and then we'll be able to see and basically tell if it's water coming from the cistern or elsewhere. But no, I appreciate that. I appreciate all the comments that people put in the videos for little tips and tricks, and try this and try that. I really do read them. To be fair, I read all the comments, and ones like that, it just goes to show that people who engage with the channel and want to put their point across, or want to give a bit of guidance or help, because at the end of the day, everyone doesn't know everything. I don't know everything, you don't know everything, but if we can gain that little bit of knowledge from each and every person, it will make us a better engineer, heating installer, whatever it is you do. So we'll wait and see from Will, see what's going on with this, and hopefully it's sorted it. But if not, we'll be back again, and that's when the proper big investigation will start behind there. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop me a comment below, not miss out on things like this, and I'll catch you all on the next one.